I'm really pleased to welcome you all on behalf of Now Pensions to our second event, Exploring the Gender Pensions Gap. I'm delighted that everyone's come together today to focus on this long-term issue that we need to resolve once and for all. I think there are a number of things we can do as an industry to close the gap, but one of the big things we can do is really everyone across the industry pulling together to tackle this issue. So many organisations have got behind our call earlier this year to really push this forward as an issue. So it's great to see so many different parts of the financial services industry, so many different parts of the pensions industry coming together behind this issue.
The thing that I find most surprising is that 9 out of 10 mothers really want to return to work, yet 70% say that they consider not returning because of the cost of childcare. The cost of a nursery is more than the average mortgage. How is that sustainable? How can we really get people back into the workplace when that is the reality that women are facing?
I think the single biggest thing that the country can do to close the gender pensions gap is to recognise that caring is an economic activity, which would mean all those who are caring and therefore outside of the labour market get contributions towards the pension.
It has to be about everyone. It has to be about those with child caring needs. It has to be with those living with disabilities, those living with anxiety, those just wanting to live a little bit more. You need that amount of flexibility to work to enable then the gender pay gap to then close the gender pensions gap.
One thing which has surprised me today is the sheer scale of the support that's coming from Granny and Grandad. The cost of it, when we actually costed it up, was £22 billion if you went out and bought that privately. I think that has underlined the scale of it, and that I think is the surprising fact for me today.
What the data shows, there's been a 135% increase in the number of people who are over 70 who are working.
The standard 9 to 5, Monday to Friday week is outdated.
I think the most important thing we can do as an industry to close the gender pension gap is actually to provide subsidised childcare so women actually can afford to go back to work.
I think the pensions industry could really transform the pension prospects of women if we moved away from a model where getting women back to work is seen as the solution to women's pension problems.
I think the main thing that we've learned from today is that flexible working is a short-term solution potentially, and in the long term we need to be looking at how we change society's attitudes towards men and women at work and at home.
One of the key things that really surprised me today is how the gender pay gap starts from as early as school at the apprenticeship level. So when young people aren't even considering their pay gap and considering pensions from the get-go, unfortunately women and young girls are at a disadvantage, and that is something that I wasn't anticipating before coming today and I didn't even know. It's important to make sure that the industry includes everyone and doesn't just make the gender pay gap a woman's issue but a human issue.
If we keep the pressure on government and if we keep this topic really high up on the agenda, I think we will see real change.